All right, we're live. Welcome, Skye Olsen, world's strongest banker on Instagram. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you, Dane?
I'm good, man. It's nice to finally talk to you, dude. We've maybe done. I know I met you in person at PSL, but we didn't talk much, right? Because I didn't know you then. We started following each other. We got a mutual friend, Damon Curtis. Um, we might have done a couple of audio or video DMs back and forth. We're in each other's DMs all the time. Skye and I are, without saying too much, wouldn't call it like conspiracy theory, but we're into like all that kind of stuff, very politically charged stuff.
We
That's
like to
very
ask
interesting.
questions.
Huh?
Yeah, we like to ask questions.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So without saying, yeah, without making this a, dude, we probably get more views if we made it like the other type of podcast we could. But so, needless to say, we live in each other's DMs, and we don't talk about strongman that much. So I'm excited to have you on to talk about that. Real quick, Skye is a very high level athlete. You did PSL last year, right?
Yes.
105, and you did do
Yep,
it.
I did the
It was the
105s.
year before you did it too, right?
Yep, I've been to Virginia Beach twice for PSL 105s. That 24 was where I met you in person and you were doing the fundraiser for the canine deal for your buddy.
That's right.
So
Thank you. Thank you for remembering that. Yep, I did that and volunteered. I had a great time. What did you place that year?
that year I didn't do as well. I zeroed the squat and had a couple other slip ups. So I think I ended up in like 18th, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of
Oh, it was
guys
a little
dust off
higher than
that
that.
squad.
It was a little higher than that. I think it was 12 because there was only 18 athletes. A lot of people dropped out. One guy got sick. Shoemaker, my coach at the time, he had to have his gallbladder removed. So there was a few other. I think it was his gallbladder. It might have been appendicitis. I don't know. He's had some health issues. You'd have to ask Sean about that. But yeah, he had to pull out of that one just for health issues. So originally there was supposed to be mid 20s, I believe, in athletes, and it ended up being like 18 in total that year in 24.
Yeah, they didn't have as many, which dude, I mean, 18 is really a sweet spot if you got the best guys in the world. The top of the roster, the talent pool was very deep, whether you have 18 guys or 30, right? You don't, I've talked to Tyler about it on the pod. You don't want 50 guys, right? If, just too
Right,
much and
right,
PSL becomes something that it's not. I remember that year because, everybody's goal is to make it to the sandbag gauntlet, right? You want to be in the
right,
top 10. I think you have to be to do the gauntlet, right? It's like a badge of honor,
correct.
in my
Yep.
opinion. And I remember Damon was right there, ninth, 10th, 11th, whatever it was. And I said, dude, like, because they let everybody do the gauntlet. Because, like, I think by the time the finals rolled around, there was only 16 guys, whatever it was, like you said. And I said, all right, dude, like, at least earn your way to the gauntlet. Like, don't be the guy that got to the gauntlet in 14th. Make the top 10 going into day three and earn the gauntlet, which he did. Little badge of honor, right? And then last year, way more
Yep.
guys last year. That was like, we've been talking about a lot of the guys. That between that and the two OSGs for 105, probably the deepest, biggest roster ever. How'd you place last year?
Last year I took 18 and I had a really good competition. One event in particular I thought I was going to do really well at was the farmer carry chain drag. And something I've been doing oddly in my farmer carries the last, I don't know, probably year and a half is when I pick them, I'll put my shoulders a little far forward and it causes me to choke myself out. And I actually blacked out, fell over, knocked the implement on the ground, stood up the implement and then finished the event. But I was trucking pretty quick before I started to see the walls close down on me and then
Oh,
I literally blacked out. The photographer guy was pretty funny. He actually said he came up to me and he goes, "Dude, I got you right as the lights went out."
and you didn't get hurt, right? You didn't face
I did
plant in the
not get
frame
hurt,
like
no.
two people have done that in the past couple of years. What's his name? Vince, right? Vince passed
Vince
out.
busted his chin. Yeah.
Yep, and then my teammate Inez busted her whole face. Yeah, maybe we need a safety measure. Maybe we need a pad on front of the frames, before people black out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, I'll have to go back and rewatch it. I remember watching it, but I might have missed that part. Or maybe I wonder if that was part of the live stream that didn't happen because of the whole vendor issue that they had, where Mark Cummins was live streaming everything on his phone, if everybody remembers.
Oh, yep, I remember. Yep.
And then, excuse me, then you just did you coming off the Shaw Classic, right? That was your last big show.
Yep, I did the Shaw Classic this past August. I worked my way up all the way to seventh and then for analogy's sake, dropped the ball in the stone and I couldn't get the 325 on the platform. I did it three different times. Each time I pushed it, shoving and thinking I was ready to move on, and it rolled back off. And I wasn't putting it high enough. You know how it works on a stone. You want that
Yep.
high leverage, and I had it too low on my chest and it just wasn't working for me, and burned myself out on the 325 for some reason. It's not even that heavy of a stone. I mean, it's a good size stone, but it's, the second stone in a 5 stone series. So
Yeah, yeah. The first one was probably what, 300?
300, 325, 350, 375, and they ended with a 4.
Yep.
And I think 2 guys made it all the way through. Um, Gabe Deal was one of them. Um, and he flew, man. He handled that. He handled his business good on that one. But yeah, I was worked all the way up to 7th place. I had kind of a mid pack kind of first day, and then second day was a good day. I had a really good deadlift event at the Shaw. Kevin Candido got me by 1 rep, and then Chris Otero was there. And when Chris is doing a deadlift event, not very many other people have much of a chance. So
Yeah, yeah. People are fighting for second on that one. And Kevin, it's funny. Kevin's come up many times on the pod already. Kevin's a friend of mine up here in Northeast. Very underrated. Flies under the radar. He doesn't post much. Very humble guy. Just wants to
no,
like do the shows and doesn't even post the results. I'm gonna try and get him on here and
no,
get him to
he's
talk a
he's
little bit.
humble and mellow is a great way to put Kevin. That's yeah, I've known him a couple years now too. Not quite as
Dude's
long as I've known you, I don't think, but I've met him. He's part of my training team right now. So
Yeah, yep. Another reason why we don't have him on because Burley's on my team and you guys are on his team, and it feels like we're all one big team. Especially when I try and do the cardio events that you guys do, the Cindy Go skiing, which I talked to Burley about. But yeah, one common thread I'm finding with guys like you guys, you're all very humble, right? Very humble, and there's a reason why you're all where you're at. And yeah, a 325 stone, very manageable stone. It's crazy how sometimes stones they can just like sometimes you have a tacky malfunction or a belt pop off or maybe you load it too early. Like it's crazy how much can go wrong on stones that can cost people at the end of a show. You know,
yeah,
yeah,
and then the other part too is timing. You just got to breathe through it. And I chucked the first 300 like it was nothing. And sorry, my connection says it's unstable. I don't know if that's cutting out on your end.
the audio is good,
But
so we
anyway,
can we can
I think
keep
we're
going.
good.
You're freezing, but the audio is good, so we'll just keep going with it.
All right. But then so the 300, it was like nothing there. So I grabbed the 325 and did the same thing. But like I said, I kept stuffing myself on the front of the implement, and I did it 3 times, and I don't know. And then you get that urgency going, and then your heart rate spikes, and then you can't get oxygen into your blood,
Yep.
and that's what happened to me. So, it
Yeah,
happens.
you got 60 seconds, dude. Panic sets in, and it's like oh shit. Like in that moment, in that 60 seconds, dude, it feels like eternity sometimes. Like the stuff that can go through your head. Like for me at OSG with the third natural stone, I'm like trying to pick it, and I'm like not getting a good hold. And then Nick Best is telling me tips, and I hear my coach in the back yelling for me. And then finally, I actually did turn it like Nick Best said. And once I got a finger hold, we got it. But in that moment, you're like, oh man, like, and then you wish, oh, I wish I turned it,
Yeah,
at 15 seconds because I loaded the first 2 stones in 7 seconds. But
yeah.
enough about me. So yeah, dude, some great competitions. You're competing at the highest level with some great placements. Now, 18th at PSL. This is one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on. You're the first guy I've had on. I started with like champions and podium people, right? And now you're the first person I've had on. I'm going to have a few more that have been to the big show and are working their way back through the qualifier. And I want to talk about why. So 18th, if you had 30 guys, I think Tyler would invite back the top half, usually top 15 or maybe top 10. And then he also has the new ranking system. They do qualifications with PSL, and there might be a couple other guaranteed pathways. But the best, and I won't say easiest, right? Because it's not easy, but the best guaranteed pathway for people is to do the qualifiers. And you're doing just that at the
Yep.
Midwest. You're working your way back through the qualifier. How's prep and training going for that?
Prep has been great. I got Burley as my coach now, and Brandon is a very focused on things like work capacity, recovery. We do a lot of stuff at, higher percentage weights, but we do it on a timed rest period. A lot of our stuff is supersetted together. The intention is to, how PSL, like Tyler runs a fast show. If you've ever done a Clash on the Coast before and then it moved into PSL and any of those, they're typically like the world level ones, you're one class. You're not doing, you're waiting for other weight classes to finish. So it's this event's done. We're doing the next one. So Brandon's whole idea is you're not going to be sucking air between events. You're going to be ready to go for the next one as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of stuff on a very I wouldn't say strict because, you can only do so much as far as work capacity goes, especially when you're an athlete my age. But
We'll
we're
talk
we're
about
on a
that
strict
too.
yeah, we're on a strict recovery and get things going, get things moving, and still keep the weight up. I'm not training a couple things I'm training at comp weight right now, like farmer carries and stuff like that. But that's all just working on foot speed and timing and making sure I'm not having any grip issues. But yeah, it's been training's been going great. I'm very confident coming into this Midwest qualifier. I'm excited for it. Never in my life thought I would visit St. Louis, but you know what? Here I am. So
Yeah, and that
nothing
roster's
against the
getting
city, just wasn't on my radar.
pretty deep. I don't know all the names on there, but it's maybe over the weekend, maybe we hype this thing up, or people are finally getting their signups in. But you got a few good guys there, and there's more guys we're talking about in a minute coming who might be coming. Um, some names I won't say because maybe they haven't announced it yet. But yeah, the thing, even with the qualifiers, dude, they run a fast show. Even in Baltimore, Tyler was there. Especially if Tyler's at the show, I can't speak to the West Coast because I don't think Tyler was there, but I think whoever ran it last year ran a really good show. I just don't follow that closely enough, but I can speak from experience in Baltimore. Tyler's there, whether Tyler's running it or the gym owner is running it. Tyler's there overseeing it, and it's fast, right? And especially if there's not a lot of signups, if you only have 15 people, 20 people, 30 people, it's moving quick. And same thing at the championship. You know this from the championship, and I do. You finish your event, you got time to like take a breather, maybe change your shoes and have a sip of Gatorade and Rice Krispie treat or something, and then you got to get right back to warming up for the next event. I love the fast pace.
Yep, yep.
I think you do too. Were
So do
you
I.
were you with Burley?
Sorry, I
Burley
missed
was your
that.
coach for the last PSL you did, right? You've been with him for a while, right? Or am I mistaken there?
I started with Burley right before the Shaw this year.
Oh, right before the
So
Shaw. Okay, so
last
not
year
at
at
PSL. All right.
PSL, yeah, yeah,
So if
last
it
year
was
at
how
PSL, I
long were you
wasn't
with
with
him?
him.
Like did you join with him right when prep started, or did you have a little bit of an off season?
So let's see, after PSL last year, I was feeling kind of beat up and I thought I laid it out there pretty hard, but I wasn't happy with my results. So, I've known Brandon for quite a few years now. We actually met at USS Strongman Nationals in New Hampshire, Manchester, New Hampshire
Oh, you
in
guys, I was there. You guys were there too? No shit.
yeah, we were both there. So was Jake
Oh, no.
Hari and a couple other dudes that you know. But yeah, he was right in front of me in line and we were just BSing all day long and then
Yep.
just became buddies after that. But
What'd you do? 242 there?
I did the 242 that year. Yep. But anyway, so I met him there and then we got to know each other and just kind of we text a lot. We text each other on the personal phone. We do it through social media, whatever. And I was just kind of like, kind of feeling a little bit like maybe I need to jump into the master's class, maybe I to do this and that. And he goes, just give me a chance. Give me a chance to prep you for the Shaw. Guarantee you make top 10. Well, he made out on his guarantee. I took 10th. So,
Yeah.
so
He's
anyway,
built. I talk.
so
I
yeah,
talked.
it was a short prep. I think I only had him for 4 to 5 weeks before the event. So I
Oh,
mean,
all
it was
right,
a
all right.
short
So
prep
yeah,
that we did, and I've been
we
with him since.
yeah, Brandon and I talked about that, and he's building quite the roster. He's got. I'm going off memory here, but he's got you, Jake Hari, McQuiston, my buddy Damon, and Candido, and he might even have more than that. But right there, that's like, dude, that's five. Let's call it all top 20, top 15, 10, 20. Like you guys are all at the biggest shows, ASM, Shaw's, PSL, OSG.
Yeah.
He's got quite a squad. He doesn't talk about it much. He's very reserved on his Instagram because I asked him if he want to talk about his coaching, but we'll save that for his interview. Um, but what we talked about was people who jump coaches too soon sometimes. But he was with Nico for a little while before OSG prep, so now he's with Nico for a full good long off season before PSL. It's like you got to give a coach a good off season to get to know each other and then see what happens and then make an assessment. So you're in the same boat right now. You guys are friends anyways, but you're here coming into this show. He says you're looking really good. You don't post much either, but I know you. I've talked to you a little bit. I think you're going to bring the best Skye to this qualifier, and then beyond. You'll have a decent little off season before 105 VB.
Yep. 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 I think as far as like just brute raw strength, I've had a few moments in my strongman history where maybe my one rep max might have been better than it is today, but there's no way, If I'm doing a max rep in 60 seconds, there's no way that I would be any better than I am right now with Brandon and the way he's got me going. Um, we're hammering the deadlift reps out right now at some pretty high percentages. We're doing a lot of overhead stuff to get those log reps going because the first event's going to be a log clean and press away. And with me and my age and my arthritis in my shoulders and just pure shoulder mobility stuff, there's a lot of little things I got to do to prep for an overhead. Used to be my favorite events when I first started, but now it's become, I don't really know how to describe it. Maybe something like I get through it. I can typically hammer out some reps, but I'm not going to necessarily win an overhead anymore, but I'm going to at least
Yeah.
not take last.
It takes a toll on these old joints, like in training, how hard do you push to get to that 300, 320, 330, whatever it might be that think you need to get. Um, it's tough. My training age is probably much younger than yours. So like injuries are starting to add up, but I still feel pretty good because we're going to talk about we're both 40 plus years old. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Dude, that one thing I wanted to highlight about a guy like you, like the mindset, right? Like, and let me frame this question the right way without you taking offense, right? Like we got 18th at PSL. You just did great at the Shaw. They got the new ranking system. I'm not sure if you're on that yet because the Shaw's not part of that. So you got to work your way back, right? But I think the humble character you have, like you want to go back to the show. So do you have a problem earning your way back through the qualifier? Like, do you feel like you should just get an invite, or are you okay doing the qualifier? If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So had I placed higher last year, I had a good show, but man, the stacked class that we were going against was outrageous. You had Nick Hine, you had Brandon Burley, Alex Soka, Jeff Laney. McQuiston was there, but he had to pull out for a quad injury. I mean, you're talking about the best in the world
Mm-hmm.
at this sport, and even more names than that I can't just rattle off the top of my head.
Yep.
So the fact that I was in there and I didn't have any zeros, actually beat a few guys in quite a few events. Um, I don't think that I deserve Tyler texting me saying, "Hey, you ready to come back next year?" I think I need to earn it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm personally, for my own preparation and for my own confidence and all that stuff, it's worth it for me to go to St. Louis and earn my way that way, just so I know that I can hang with the big boys.
Yeah.
That was a conversation I had with Brandon down in Colorado when he was there. He actually came and coached me live in person at the Shaw. He was there with me every step of the way, making sure
Yeah.
I had all the stuff I needed and stuff. And we're out having lunch one day, and he just looks at me and he gave me a really serious look and he goes, "You know what? I get the feeling from you that you feel like you don't belong here, and you really do." And when I heard that from my coach, who's, obviously Brandon got a zero on the squat and took second place at PSL. Think
We talked
about
about
that.
it. We
Think
talked
about
about it.
how fantastic he did on the rest of those events.
Yep.
Like, and the only reason he zeroed it is because he just psyched himself out on the style of how he was going to rebound that thing off those pads.
Yep.
He wanted to try to use a bounce that doesn't work necessarily. The pads are too soft. So, you know, um, it was within the rules, but it just wasn't going to work for that particular event that day. And for a guy at that caliber to look you dead in the eye while you're having lunch at a Chipotle in Loveland, Colorado, saying you sure as hell do belong here, that meant a lot to me. So
Yeah.
so now
That's
I've kind of got the old man chip on my shoulder. So
That's one of the reasons I wanted to have him on. I just got him on yesterday, and because he's in the GWO team, so he's in our group chat. And dude, he's been a tremendous resource for me because he's the highest level weight class guy that we have. So we don't battle back and forth, but like I did a sandbag gauntlet in like a really good time. He went out the next day off program and with his comp weight above his comp weight, beat my time, and like things like that. But he's also been in my ear, especially after OSG, saying like, all right, man, it's time. Like same thing, like no more imposter syndrome, dude. You belong, like you belong. So like get rid of that shit, and I try to set low
yeah,
expectations, but that's a great mindset to have, dude. Because like, you know, dude, you absolutely are worthy of an invite, right? You're one of the best in the world, but the class is so stacked, and maybe a couple guys edged you out that you might beat them 3 out of 4 times, but if they beat you at PSL, they earned their way back next year, and you were just a couple spots shy, so you got to go back to the qualifier, and I commend you for that, dude. There's a few people doing these qualifiers that are big names that like if you want to call a spade, like a CJ Pierce, that dude shouldn't have to qualify for anything, right? But he's going. I'm going to have him on here soon and talk about his own experience. But like Tyler, the organizer, he can't just give out invites, right? There are special considerations. Like we
right.
talked about John Hack. He said, dude, John Hack wants to do my show. he's getting an invite. Said it right to the camera, you know. But you have to draw the line in the sand, and I understand that. And hearing this from you, man, that helps me. I appreciate it because I requested an invite to an upcoming show. No one will say names. Um, and I was respectfully declined, very respectfully declined. There's plenty of pathways that I could have taken. And while my accolades and stuff are enough, I didn't follow the pathways in their organization. And I respect that. It's hard to hear because I would just love to be there and do the show.
Yeah.
But um, but I'm fine with it. And maybe this year I do find a time in the calendar to do that. So I'm glad you did for PSL because what I want to ask you next is dude, what do you like? Why do you want to go back so bad? You got the Shaw you could do again, you got OSG you could try and qualify for. There's no shortage of opportunity, especially now that you're master's age too, right? Why is it this
Yeah.
show that you want to get back to? What do you like about it?
Well, I've done PSL Worlds the last 2 years, and there really is like I've done OSG. I did that back in 2022 in Daytona Beach. I've done the USS Nationals a couple times. I did the one in Massachusetts or in New Hampshire, and then I did the other one in where I met Damon actually in Dallas.
One second,
And
USS Nat, didn't you tear your bicep? And didn't you still finish the whole show? Was that you?
yeah, I tore my bicep on the first event,
That the
and
stupid
I
lever
finished
deadlift.
the
I was there. The lever deadlift.
Yep, the lever deadlift, the fifth handle got me. I felt it tear. I finished the rep. I took second on that event. And then this will blow your mind too. So five, that's how US goes, right? The second event was an axle clean and press. It was 300 pounds for reps. My mind, going in, I was going to hit 6 or 7. I couldn't clean it because I had no left bicep. So I'm literally trying to chuck the bar up into the air. My buddy's watching. He says, I've never seen 300 pounds look so heavy yet so light at the same time. And then, so I zeroed the second event. And then I just hammered my way through the next three. And I took third. I podiumed with a torn bicep on the first event. And
Good shit.
that's where I met Damon. And we got to talking quite a bit. We've been talking ever since. And then Jack Turner was there. He took second place. Yeah, it was a great show. It was a lot of fun. I wish I wouldn't have got hurt. I think I would have won it that year if I wouldn't have
Yep.
got hurt. Um, all
Yeah,
I really
Damon.
needed
Damon
was,
was Damon competed with a broken foot. He had a small broken bone in his foot. So a couple of injured dudes just shows how good you guys are. Because is that how you qualified for PSL? Because that's how Damon got his qualification.
no, I did the last 2 years that I've competed at PSL, that when Tyler was hosting, or not hosting, but having the onlines. So I did the online qualifiers. I hadn't done an in-person one until now this year.
Oh, all
So
right.
my online numbers must have been good enough for him to shoot me invites after that. But yeah.
Yep. Yep. All right. Let me reframe this question because like I want to make sure I get the question in because I might snippet this for a hype reel. You've done some of the biggest shows in the world, Skye. You've done PSL. Why are you going back? Why are you doing the qualifier to go back to the big show? What do you like about it?
There's no competition that I've been to athlete is at the level of PSL. You literally will see the best of the best. I think it's a better format than any other show I've been in, and I've competed at the Shaw, the USS Nationals, and OSG. I like the speed of the show. I like the weight of the show. Everything is heavy, but everything's got to be fast. You're not looking at a guy who's static ever. Like what event in PSL is just a static movement? We did have a max axle clean and press, but beyond that, this past year, everything was multiple reps, moving, or some sort of like actual test of an athlete. So you're going to see not only the strongest guy, you're going to see the strongest athlete. And to put myself in that category is just a badge of honor for me. So
That's awesome, man.
that's
That's
why
and it's
I want to go there,
and
and I want to be at the best. I want to be with the best of the best.
yeah, that's great, dude. That's a recurring theme because I talked to Nick Kine, I talked to Brandon Burley, and they both said the same thing. So great minds think alike, and you guys are all champions, in my opinion. That's awesome, dude. What let's talk about the qualifier. What events are you looking forward to at the qualifier? You got 5 events, right?
Well, let's see. The first event is a log clean and press away. I'm pretty excited about that one. I like the weight. It's 275, so it's not crazy heavy, and it's not something that every Joe Blow can walk up and do. So I'm going to hammer that one out. Um, I've always been a fan of farmer carries, but this whole thing with me having that little pass out issue, something in the back of my brain. So we'll see how that goes. Yoke is going to be fun. I love the yoke. I'm quick with the yoke, so I can pick that thing up and I'm going to sprint with that thing. I'm so excited for that. I was really happy to see that he changed the kegs out into sandbags. Um, Personally, I think kegs are easier, but I think
Keg over
um,
bar, right?
I have, yep, it's yeah, there's three distances with three different weights, heavier as you get closer. Um, but for me personally, I think I'm pretty interchangeable with a keg and a sandbag,
Mhm.
where a lot of guys, when you make that difference and you got that lower pick and that, potentially softer or nowhere to grip, I think that's gonna change things for a lot of other people.
Yeah, I think you're
Whereas
right.
for me, I'll be about the same level. So most excited for, let's see, probably the yoke and the kegs.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Or
good
not
event
kegs,
selection.
yoke in the sandbag, sorry.
Yeah, and the log 275, not light, but not heavy by any means for 105s, right? So it's a good weight that like everybody can hit. You might see somebody, who knows, you might see somebody hit 10 reps press away, but what's with that kind of weight, it's enough, I would say, if I had to guess. I've only done 275 for like double or triple, but with it on your chest for that long, like you have to strategize and breathe, and you don't want to put it down and clean it again, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to watch for sure. I think that's a good weight selection for that class.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's take a look at the roster. Like I don't know if you're a guy that like, I never decide what show to do because of the roster or anything, but so I like to look and see because I might form pre-game strategies in my mind. But you got up to one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine guys. I just pulled this earlier before we got on here. Nine guys now, so that's a good size roster at least. The only name I know Christian Case coming up from 90. And my buddy Josh Pinkerton coming up from 90, who's done 105 plenty. Josh is always a good test. I'm sure there'll be some good guys. We keep talking, me and I keep saying it because like I want to see him there. Kip Leitner. I don't know if you know Kip, but he's a fellow Masters age guy. He won PSL Masters. I'm gonna have him on here to talk about his accolades, but he's no joke. I'm hoping he signs up, and it'd be great to see you guys go head to head. How you feeling about it? You feeling good? You feeling confident? I know.
I'm I'm feeling really good about this one. I've looked a little bit into some of those guys. A lot of names I don't know, a couple I do know. I know Josh Pinkerton. I know Kate Christian, is it?
Yep.
Is that how you say his name? I looked into him a little bit. I know he's one of Nick's athletes. There's a couple other guys that I'm fairly familiar with. As far as Kip goes, him and I've never actually met in person. We've talked on Instagram once or twice before, and we throw each other the likes or the comments on each other's posts every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's something else, especially for a Masters athlete. If he shows up, then I definitely got my work cut out for me.
Yeah. It's funny. It's a recurrent
So
theme, selfishly, because I'm 41. But like, dude, Masters is exciting. Like a guy like you. One of the questions we'll go over in a minute. But like, yeah, I didn't know you're 45, 44, 45,
44. Yep.
40, 44, right? So
Yeah, I
you're
just
in the
turned
middle of the
44.
Masters. I'm 41. You got Damon, you got Candido, Mike O'Connor. I keep saying their names, but you got Kip, Paul Monza, Longbow Dad, Chris Schwant. Like, dude, there's so many good guys that are still doing the lightweight, not lightweight, sorry, the open shows, and not just like going just to Masters. It's awesome to see. It's like I keep saying, like Masters isn't a place where old strongmen go to die anymore, dude. It's legit, dude.
Yeah.
And I think we put on a little bit of a show at OSG, and I hope to see like a guy like you at OSG later this year join me because I plan on going back. It'd be an honor to lose to you, dude, because that's where I would be.
Come
You know
on.
what I mean?
Come on now.
Hey, dude, I say it to Damon, right? Because like I've gone against him 3 times and I've only won a few events, and I'm climbing. OSG, it was the closest I've ever been to him. I beat him in a couple events and tied on a third, but like just to that's like the thing, like just to take. It's funny. The term side quest keeps coming up, right? And when I say side quest, I don't mean it in a negative way of like, yeah, this is just side quest. I'm gonna go dust those guys. For me, it's like OSG until I commit to walking around at 235, 240 and really fueling my body and being bigger because I keep trying 90. I'm never going to bring my absolute best. I'll bring my current best, but the best Dane that I could be would be if I gain some weight. So that's why I call it like a side thing where it's fun. So like I take little
Yeah.
victories. Like if I could beat you in an event or two, if I beat a guy like Matt Powell in an event who's a beast, my buddy John Doyle, like I said, Damon, nobody touched Wanza. Like I couldn't beat him in anything. He's legit. And it's funny how like people, it's a tangent I kind of like am going to go on right now. Like people say side quest, right? And sometimes it does sound disrespectful, right? And I've seen people say it, and I've seen people say it in terms of these qualifiers, man. And somebody might not know who a Skye Olsen is or a Kip Leitner is, and it's like, dude, you are gonna be in for a rude awakening when you're staring down the barrel of Skye Olsen and Kip Leitner if he signs up and guys like that, right? Because you don't post that much, but until they see you, people at the Masters show. Kip won that show. Kip beat Nick O'Hare at that show, and Nick O'Hare is a stud, world class, top 10 lockdown U90 who went up, right? Um, and I've
Well, Nick
seen
Nick was the U90 and he competes very well with 105s. Like he can
he
make that jump very easily.
he competed in New Hampshire. I think he got second at 242, if I'm not mistaken.
I
Um,
think you're correct. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
so like right
No,
there,
he took third. It was in New Hampshire at USS at 242. It was Burley and Vince Wilkinson took the top two.
right, couple
And Nick was
top
right
guys right
there.
there, obviously, and Nick's right there, and then you were there, and you've ascended too, and who else did you say was there with you? I forget who, but like, there's this strongman math, right, where people don't know who they're going against, and they hype themselves up, and that's great. It's great to be your own champion and confident, right? But then sometimes it's borderline cocky. Yet people post. Some of my friends will post like, future champ or and new or I'm gonna come take this guy out, and it's like I said it before in a podcast. Like, bro, have you seen Paul Mwanza? Like, have you seen what that man can do? Because like this is what you're going against. And then if you look at the results at OSG, we didn't have an and new. And I'm not saying names. If you watch this, I love you, but there's levels to this shit, and we all got dusted by Paul Mwanza. So anybody calling shows a side quest, make sure you're saying it for the right reasons. Because I'll tell you right now, PSL ain't a fucking side quest. I've done the 105. I've
No.
gone against guys in Baltimore. Dude, Jesse Castens was a U90 in Baltimore last year. Thank God he missed weight in my class. The dude missed weight, meaning he had a horrific cut, went up to 105, and he just about swept the show with like 15 guys. I think he only lost one event, something like that, you know? So there's
Mhm.
levels to this shit, man. Wild tangent I wanted to go on, dude. So
Yeah. It's a fun one
something
though.
something I've been meaning to get off my chest. These interviews are there. It's an interview. I want to highlight you, highlight the athletes, but I also want to spitball, get my own thoughts out, make it a conversation, right? I want to get the people talking in a respectful way, right? I don't say names. I won't make one org look good to make another org look bad or one bat look bad. You know what I'm saying? Um, but let's do some questions, dude. We got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Let me sift through. I got to find them here. Um, this is the good one that I selfishly want to talk about too, from our friend Damon Curtis. We talked about fellow master who's still doing open shows at a very high level. Uh, what's the most difficult thing about getting older and still being competitive with the younger guys, or maybe trying to stay competitive with the younger guys?
I would say recovery. Recovery and sometimes motivation. A lot of the time, like Damon can probably relate to this, we'll hit the gym, we'll have an off day, and we'll think that's just the way we are now when it's just an off day. And, recovery is the key. I need to tune my diet up and make sure that I'm hydrated and getting all my supplements and everything going and taking care of my body well enough. My older days, I was running and gunning constantly every day, like almost every week I was trying to push a new limit. And, you just got to realize as you get older, trust your coach, trust the process a bit more and work on making sure your body's ready for day two or day three, especially if it's a multi-day comp, but even just during your training week. And this is a mental thing that's really difficult for me is taking a day off and literally just taking a day off. And I don't do it hardly ever.
No.
Brandon's got me doing them. And sometimes I'll just go in and go through the motions and do some body weight stuff, do some pull-ups, do some dips, just to have the blood flow going and satisfy my own mental need to be active. But beyond that, you know, as you get older, take care of your joints and take care of your muscles and let your body recover.
Yeah, there's a fine line between overtraining and knowing when to take time off. You're a warrior. You don't want to take time off. You're like, I gotta go. But like sometimes the best thing that's happened to me before a show is getting sick and being like, you know what, I just got to stay home and get some sleep and just show up to the show fully recovered and ready to really show what your body is capable of when it's fully healed. We can talk a little bit more about recovery in a minute because I think you've got some ways to help with that with your new company, right? So we'll bring that up in a minute
Yep,
here.
sure.
Um, Damon also wants to know how come you haven't done a Masters comp yet.
Maybe ego, maybe pride. I don't know. I feel like I'm still competitive. I do want to move up into the Masters for the same reasons you were talking earlier. The Masters is no longer where strongman athletes go to die. You listed a big name, a big bunch of lists with Kip, with Damon, with Chris, myself, all being Masters age guys, all competitive guys a couple of years ago that were in the open class. I think the Masters is going to have a massive, I wouldn't want to call it resurgence because I don't know if it's ever really had its original boom, but I think there's a lot of dudes coming into the Masters class that are going to make it a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think
But
I agree, dude. And I think it's almost like you ever see like people on Instagram, like influencers that are like, "Oh, I'm 45. How do I have a six pack abs?" And like they get so many likes because there's so many 40 to 50-year-old men in America that maybe aren't doing a fitness journey, think it's too late or whatever. And if guys like us are still doing it, dude, still like lean and muscular and lifting 300-pound logs and shit, there's a certain market for that. Like guys that are going to want to tune in and be like, dude, if that guy can do it, why can't I do it? And um, I think there could be like a little niche that we could carve out, dude, because there's some super impressive guys. And hopefully this can kind of morph into like hyping up the PSL Masters show, which I think is going to be in September. Um, I did find out from Tyler, I can say this because his episode already aired, that my 90 show is going to be in August and Masters is going to be after this year, not before. So that's better for
okay.
me because I'm going to be on a diet now. If everything works out and I'm healthy, dude, I very much would love to do 90 and then go right into Masters. And hopefully I can like hype some of you guys up and we all just meet out there at probably at Chad Coy's place again and throw down. And
Oh,
hope
that'd be
I can
great.
crack the top 10 with all you killers.
Honestly, I feel like this year may be my last year of doing non-master stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah.
that's the thing, dude. Like I did OSG last year, 90, when I could have done Masters, suffering in the sauna. I didn't talk about it on the pod yet, so we'll talk about it real quick. Suffering in the sauna, dude. I had like a 10-hour, I was in and out of the sauna 10 hours. It's not my coach's fault. I totally messed up my sodium load. It was my fault. Um, and I'm sitting there about 4 hours in. I'm like, dude, why don't I just do Masters? Lynn already told me I could. Like, I can literally just drink water and eat right now and not end my suffering. But I stuck with it, did the 90, very happy that I did. And it's funny because I had talked for months and months and months with all my homies in the group chats about going to Masters, right? I'm just going to go to Masters. There's some good Masters shows. And some people are like, nah, man, stay in the open. My buddy Mike Ramirez talked me into staying in the open, and I had the best time of my life at PSL. And it kind of trapped me into staying in the open still. But then I also said, cool, I can do OSG Masters now that it exists. Lynn gave me the invite. So I said, cool, I'm going to do both and see where I fit in. And I'm still tweening, right? But it's like, dude, there's plenty of great guys. I came in sixth at OSG Masters. What does that mean? That means there's 5 guys in the world right now better than me. And I know there's more, a guy like you who wasn't there. So there's plenty of guys. I can satisfy my competitive itch at Masters. And it's just as hard, it's very similarly hard as the Open, right? The Open has some great guys like that would be in the top of the Masters too. So I have the decision to make, same as you. Like, when do I finally say, all right, cool, like, I don't need to cut weight anymore, at least. I don't know how much weight you cut to make it to 231, but I cut a lot to get to 90. So like I can kind of let that go and just go do Masters and find my satisfy that competitive itch in the Masters.
Yep. Yep. I think that's about where my brain's at too, is I'm gonna finish out this year trying to be an open athlete, and then we'll see how it goes from here.
Bro, you know what's gonna happen, dude? Same thing that happened to me. You're gonna top 10 Virginia Beach and you're gonna be like, well, I gotta go back. You know what I mean?
If I top 10 Virginia Beach, I will be very proud.
How
I'll tell
much
you that much.
how much do you cut to make it to 231?
Right now, let's see. I weighed myself yesterday morning. I was 246, so 15 pounds. Not too bad.
Oh, so it's not bad. And you like you'll water cut most of that. Like you don't like diet down to like 240 or anything, right?
No, I'll water cut most of it. I will do a little bit of a carb shift, I guess, not
Yep.
necessarily a carb removal, but and just stuff like that, just to get down a little bit, maybe like you said, maybe to 240, and then just let it roll from there. For the Shaw, I was about the same starting weight, and I didn't even have to sauna.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It was the same for PSL last year. 25 PSL didn't need to sauna. 24 I did. I had about 4 pounds I had to go, so I did that. But
Yeah. So my main point is you're just doing like the peak week manipulation where you starve yourself a little bit for a week. You're not dieting year round. Like, dude, me, I'm 223 today. I need to basically diet. I can fuck off for a little bit, but then if I want to stay in striking distance of 90 and have a decent cut, I need to diet year round to be somewhere between 215 and 218. And even with that, I need some sauna. So like that weighs into my decision to stay 90. Because
Hmm.
when I say stay open, I don't ever see myself really making it to Virginia Beach as an open 105, right? Could I try a qualifier someday and maybe get there? Perhaps. But so my decision is 90 open, which is like diet year round, or to chill with the Masters at 231. And I take that whole diet thing out of the equation. Sure, I got to fuel my body and eat properly. But so it's a little bit different of a decision for us in that regard. Um,
Yeah.
but here we are. I think the more guys that go to Masters, we like you said, you want to compete with the best, dude, right? And like as long as if you're going into a Masters show and you're just going to cruise to victory, it doesn't excite you, does it? Right? So like, I don't see you being a guy who wants to cut for like a regional Masters comp where you're going to go in there and like win all 5 events. There's no excitement to that. You'd probably rather do a regional open comp, right? So we gotta pick the stuff that keeps us engaged and motivated.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Got another question here. Gotta fire up the phone. Sorry. All right. Your coach, Burley Strongman, wants to know what do you feel is the biggest improvement you've made as an athlete?
Well, let's see here. I've had my best stone load since I've been with Brandon.
How much?
I
What,
did a
what was that?
405 to 48 inches. It was a
Nice.
405 to 48. Um, let's
It's a
see.
good
I've done the
stone.
375 a couple times. So that's the best I've ever done. My stone mechanics have been off for most of my strongman career, and I finally got that tuned up. And whatever happened at the Shaw happened at the Shaw. Everything went out the window. I decided to one motion stuff. But beyond that, the best improvements that I probably made is recovery between. And that's one of his biggest goals is recovery in between. And he's also really helping me with doing things like a push press or push jerk, sorry, not a push press. Um, I have a tendency to overhead press and just strict press the hell out of stuff. If you watched my Shaw Classic Max log, I did a 320 log and it was almost comical. It was basically just like I was pushing it out of the rack once I cleaned it and it just yep, no legs whatsoever. The owner of my gym here, her name's Lacey. She sent me a text afterwards. She says that 320 log was, oh gosh, what was it? Something funny. It was like no legs and all something else. I'd have to look at the text. It was just stupid. It just like I wonder what I could press if I knew how to use my legs, you know?
Yeah, 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 dude. I feel the same. I said it, I think, to Burley about other events, but like it's like the UFC. Like everybody has a plan to like punch in the face. For strongman, it's like everybody has a plan until you have like a 300-pound log on your chest, and you're like, because I've been learning how to split jerk, and I'm like split jerk, and I get to a certain weight where my brain says it just forgets to
You just
split jerk,
can't.
and it just finishes the press with a push press, and I'm like, dude, I'm training split jerks today. What the
Yeah.
fuck? Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So Lacey, that's another question here, and I wasn't sure who this was on Instagram. Lacey gets it. Maybe she's the owner of your gym.
What was the last name?
Well, the Instagram is Lacey gets it. So maybe it's the same person
Oh,
from your
yep,
gym.
yep, yep.
He had a
That
question.
is
How
the owner of the
does
gym.
North Dakota's Strongest Man stack up against other shows?
So North Dakota's Strongest Man is the one that Mitch and Lacey host here in Williston, North Dakota. And when you compare what they do on a local level, it is every bit as high level as any of the biggest ones I've been to. You know, you don't necessarily have the stadium style venue and a thousand different sponsors from that actual industry, but they get a good draw of athletes. Isaac Mays competed in it last year against me. Well, that was 24. Yeah, that was in 2024, I think.
Yeah, I
And
think I
then
think Isaac's coming back this year. I saw on his
and
story.
Isaac's coming back to that one. The other thing that they do that I don't want to call anybody out, but they paid over $12,000 out in cash last year at North
Really?
Dakota Strongest to
At a
athletes. They
state
paid
show?
athletes per event at a local show. Um, you won an event, they called the top three over and they handed you cash.
Wow.
Like it was legit. That's something that nobody does.
No,
And
that's
then
unheard of,
they
dude.
paid out.
Maybe only a
Yeah.
pro am. Like not pro ams don't pay out per event either.
Yeah, they paid out per event and then they paid out the podiums too. So for each weight class. And it was over 12 grand in total for all the athletes. I mean, it was legit. I was a judge in that one because I was preparing for PSL
Yep.
last year. But yeah, the weight that they move, the quality of the implements too. They have a lot of custom built stuff that is every bit as good or better than some of the mass-produced stuff you can find. Like if you take one of the custom logs that they have, like the full circle string system logs, that thing will hold up better than anything you'll see from Titan for sure. But if you look at like a Rogue log, it's comparable or better. Nice, easy round weights. They're all 100 pounds, so the math is easy.
Hmm.
Except for one of them, the first one they built was 117, so that one's a little quirky. But I mean, they run a fantastic show. It's smooth, it's quick, it's organized. The athletes know what the heck is expected of them, so it's great. It stacks up there
Awesome.
really high level.
I would say anybody remotely close to North Dakota, or if you can travel up there, if you see a show, sign up for it. Because I'll tell you what, to give out $12,000 in prize money, not saying they could do it every year, right? But $12,000, I'm willing to bet that show probably operated at a loss, and that's most likely just people who are a big fan of the sport, who want to see the sport grow and succeed, and are willing to pay a little bit out of their own pocket because that's a lot of money for a state show. That's unheard of. There's
Yeah.
pro shows that don't pay that much money, so. That's awesome. That was a great question. I'm glad she asked it. Thank you. Skye, that's just about all I got, dude. I'd maybe love to have you back on when we get to the 105 show, right? Because I'm gonna be hyping that up. There'll be no shortage of guys to talk to. But you want to talk about any like sponsors that you might have or your new company that you've built up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got two new companies that I just started in July of this year. It's kind of been a passion of mine for health and wellness stuff. I have a consulting company where I do some nutrition and wellness consulting. It's called PeptIQ, and it's basically I use that as a way to teach people the benefits of using peptides and other types of supplements to help with recovery, help with brain fog, weight loss, anti-aging stuff. It's taken off really well. And then on the flip side of that, I've got a retail company. It's called Restorative Research LLC. And my inventory is constantly growing. I've just got my website finally up and running. It is not quite ready to start taking orders yet. I've got a few tweaks I got to make because I don't want to put a half-baked product out there.
Mhm.
And with that, you've got your basic line of peptides plus a bunch of custom things that I've been working on, BPC 157, TB 500, Retatrutide. I don't want to say that one, I guess, but and then there's a handful you name it, basically. You name it, either I have it or I can get it. And I have a substantial inventory. It's all kind of sitting behind me here right now, and I'm still organizing my office space because this is pretty fresh. But as far as pricing goes, um, I've done a lot of online shopping to see where I'm at, and my pricing is very comparable, if not less than most of the stuff you're going to find. I give referral deals for people that send over a bunch of customers to me. I'll throw a freebie in here every now and then, just for people I like, just to say, hey man, looks like you could use this, or just test this out and tell me what you think of it.
Mhm.
All my products are certificate analysis tested, so they're all clean and pure and ready to go. Um, yeah, that's been going really well. I
Great.
learn a lot by helping people, and I really enjoy it.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun for me, and it's been another side quest, if you want to keep using that term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's
So
if any type of side quest that you're passionate about, it's not, it doesn't feel like work, does it? Right. Now, hopefully you obviously make a little profit and stuff,
yeah,
whatever. But like with this, I'm doing these interviews and it's like, I really enjoy doing it. The hardest part is just scheduling. Other than scheduling, once I get people on the computer, I
yeah,
could do these all day. My wife might get mad at me because I've been doing so many of them, but I could speak to Skye's customer service guys because he's not quite up and running yet. But I got some glutathione from him, a great recovery tool, and I bought a couple, and he got it out to me the next morning, and the pricing was great. I've bought glutathione from a couple different websites, and the pricing was actually better. I would buy it off you anyways, dude, because you're my friend, and I would rather support you than somebody I don't know from somewhere else across the country. Especially because I know you and I trust that your stuff is all above board, and you never know what you're gonna get when you order stuff online, guys. So, dude, what I'll do is I'll definitely by the time Virginia Beach rolls around, you'll be a little more up and running with the website stuff. I'll have you back on and we'll talk more about peptides and recovery because you could teach me. We can do a episode that's specifically more about peptides and recovery and the type of things that they can help people with, and you can educate us. And I think that'd be really exciting if you're into doing it.
yeah, it sounds like a blast. I'd love to.
All right, man. Well, I wish I shouldn't say this because my wife is probably going to watch these, but I kind of looked at the flights to get to the Midwest, and I'm like, man, because I'm going to Baltimore. I committed to Baltimore. My friend's competing there, and it's the closest one. But I'm looking at the Midwest, dude, and like that roster is looking stacked. And I really, as a fan, I want to see it because I'm going to be emceeing the events. I don't know if I told you that. I'm emceeing Baltimore and Virginia Beach on the mic. So like, there's a part of me I'm like, ooh, if I could fly to St. Louis like Friday night, come home Saturday night right after the show, and I'm only gone for like 12 hours, babe. Um, I doubt I'll be able to pull it off, right? Hopefully she doesn't see this. I'll get in trouble. But I would love to come out there and see you and cheer for you and be on the mic. Maybe I can pull it off. Probably not. But I wish you all the best, dude. And we'll see you at Virginia Beach. I'm sure of it.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
It's
Take
been
care,
a
man.
blast.